My boyfriend used my trauma for his protégé's career, then I jumped. Ryan Parker's protégé needed a viral story to secure her promotion. So he went behind my back and brought the parents I'd cut off 10 years ago to a reunion dinner. At the event, everyone filmed as they encouraged me to forgive and embrace my parents. I stood there trembling before I lost it and destroyed the entire venue. I became the internet's most hated ungrateful daughter. The hate comments and death threats flooded in for a month. Then Ryan spent an entire night sitting outside my apartment, chain-smoking. Cigarette ash fell from his shaking fingers onto the police reports he was reading, files that had been sealed for 10 years. Harper, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was like this. Harper, will you ever forgive me? Chapter 1. Walking into that hotel, I thought Ryan was going to propose. That's why I'd bought a new dress. Why I'd woken up early to get my hair and makeup professionally done. But now. The dress collar was torn open in a jagged line. My carefully styled hair hung like a bird's nest around my numb face. Everything felt like a sick joke. Harper, have you lost your mind? Do you even know what you're doing? How could you treat your parents like this? Ryan yanked me hard, making me stumble. I turned my head slowly, my throat raw from screaming. What about you? Ryan Parker, do you know what you're doing? He didn't. He just looked at me with barely concealed impatience. Then said coldly, Harper, stop making a scene. Come back with me. I know they hurt you when you were young, but everyone makes mistakes. They're still your parents. My parents? I laughed bitterly. I'd rather never have been born at all. Ryan's expression went blank for a moment. But the next second, he was still stubbornly trying to drag me back to that absurd reunion. He said it had been so many years, they surely knew they were wrong. I should forgive where I could. I stared at his face and suddenly asked. Ryan, are you doing all this for Jessica? Harper. Ryan took a deep breath, lowering his voice. Not everything is about Jessica. My mind drifted to a phone call I'd overheard a month ago. He'd promised confidently to whoever was on the other end. Jess, don't worry. I'll handle the viral story. It won't affect your promotion. Back then, I'd just sighed outside the door. Ryan was so good to his protégé, I was almost jealous. Until tonight at the venue, when Jessica pointed her camera at me as I broke down, I finally understood. The viral story Ryan promised Jessica for her promotion was built on wounds I'd partially revealed to him. He used my vulnerability and scars to protect someone else. Every time I'd told him about my past, I'd choke up and tremble until I couldn't continue. And now those honest words were like boomerangs Ryan had driven deep into my flesh. Ryan's voice sounded strained. Harper, why are you crying? If you don't want to go back, fine. I touched my face in confusion. The tears I couldn't shed during that breakdown and hysteria now covered my cheeks. After a moment, a hand reached over to wipe my tears. I instinctively stepped back, avoiding it. Ryan froze for a few seconds, then withdrew his hand with an ugly expression. Harper Reed, I guess you really don't have a heart. I looked up at him in shock. The way he looked at me was exactly how my parents used to, critical, disappointed, with a hint of disgust. I suddenly calmed down, meeting his eyes steadily. Right. Your protégé has a heart. Go find her then. Chapter 2. All my impressions of Jessica came from Ryan's frequent praise. He'd always tell me excitedly, Jessica's a natural journalist. That girl's fearless and ambitious. Once, after hearing too much, I foolishly asked Ryan, she's that amazing? Better than me? Ryan paused, then laughed and hugged me. You're different people. I wanted to ask how we were different. But seeing the light in his eyes, I swallowed the words. I was afraid if I asked, something would be impossible to hide anymore. That day, Ryan called me crazy and slammed the door. Crazy. I repeated the word. My parents had called me that too. When I'd beaten my brother. Who'd called me worthless since childhood. When I'd held a knife to their precious son's throat, demanding they pay my tuition. Finally, when I'd tried to take them all down with me. They'd called me crazy then, fear finally entering their eyes. But thanks to Ryan Parker. Those eyes that had once held fear were now full of smugness again. They'd knelt outside my apartment building, wailing for forgiveness. Behind them, cameras flashed constantly. Ms. Reed, why did you cut ties with your parents? Ms. Reed, your parents seem desperate for your forgiveness. Will you forgive them? Question after question hit me. I was pushed and shoved in the crowd. Suddenly, a sharp voice rang out. Harper. Your parents say you tried to kill them 10 years ago. Is that true? The crowd erupted. I stared at the face shoved in mine. Jessica. Her microphone nearly jabbed my face. I smiled. You know so much. Did you ask them why I did it? She frowned, her tone unwavering. Whatever they did, they're your parents. They've searched for you for years. Then she suddenly grabbed my hand and pushed me toward the two kneeling figures. Look at them. They traveled thousands of miles to find you, and now they're on their knees begging at their age. She spoke like a savior from on high. Harper Reed, you're a disgrace as a daughter. I had no chance to respond. Her push sent me crashing to the ground. My prosthetic leg twisted grotesquely and rolled away. The searing pain made my vision blur. The air froze until a reporter gasped. Is she wearing a prosthetic? She really is. Camera flashes intensified. I curled up on the ground in cold sweat, like a monkey being photographed at the zoo. Finally recovering somewhat, I grabbed the nearest reporter's pants leg with my hoarse voice. These people abused me for being a girl. They beat me my whole childhood. If you were me, would you forgive them? The reporter's eyes flickered. Finally, he moved his leg, shaking off my hand. I struggled to sit up. Also, my leg. So Ms. Reed, you still refuse to forgive your parents? Is it true you tried to kill them? I stared at the microphone shoved in my face. Finally understanding what Ryan meant by viral story. As long as the headline was sensational enough, no one cared about the truth. They only hated that the blood in their feast wasn't thick enough. From the moment Ryan decided to use my story for his protégé's career, I was doomed. I laughed bitterly, but looking up, I locked eyes with someone in the crowd. In the crowd, I sat disheveled on the ground being condemned by thousands. Outside the crowd, Ryan stood frowning by the news van, watching like it had nothing to do with him. Finally, he calmly looked away. Tears flooded my wooden face. Chapter 3. The press conference ended with me passing out and being rushed to the hospital. The amputation site was infected, and I developed a high fever. I burned in and out of consciousness like I was trapped in an endless nightmare. Jessica truly lived up to Ryan's training. Her exclusive report moved readers to tears. She wrote about my parents' difficult 10-year search for their daughter. How I remained unmoved by their kneeling pleas. At the video's end, she gave my parents a close-up. My mother, who'd beaten me until my eardrum burst, cried to the camera. Baby girl, come home with mom and dad. I became the internet's infamous ungrateful daughter. Everyone had dirt on my terrible character. I curled up in my dark apartment, numb. Harper. I slowly looked up at the security monitor making noise. Ryan's distorted voice came through. I checked the weather. It's going to rain tomorrow. Remember to use a hot compress on your leg. I stared blankly at the festering wound on my leg. This scar had tortured me for 10 years. Every rainy day, it hurt like hell. I used to joke with Ryan that I had a built-in weather forecast. Ryan would silently use hot towels to massage it over and over. Then hold me until I fell asleep. But now, he didn't know this stump he'd massaged countless times had lost a layer of flesh. Blood everywhere. Or maybe he knew and was just pretending not to see. His voice was exhausted. Harper, stop being stubborn. Nobody's happy about this. Your parents are still waiting at the hotel. It's not too late. I looked at the dark monitor and laughed hoarsely. Ryan, did Jessica get her promotion? Silence from the other end. I continued, Ryan, all those online comments driving me to suicide, did you hire trolls for Jessica's promotion too? Harper. Ryan took a deep breath, his voice unsteady. Stop saying things out of anger. I'll arrange another meeting with your parents. Just hug them for a photo. Then this will all be over. I stared unfocused at nothing. Over? How could it be over? My slowly healing wounds ripped open again. My quiet life destroyed completely. And Ryan told me it would all be over. He spoke quickly, like he was convincing himself more than me. Harper, news cycles are short. People will forget soon. Then we'll get married. I laughed until I cried. Ryan heard my laughter and got angry. Harper. Do you have to be this stubborn? No one wants to hurt you. Is it wrong that I want you to have parents to rely on? I wiped away my tears and crawled to the monitor, staring at the black lens. Ryan, before I met you, I wasn't called Harper Reed. I was called Trash Girl. You're a journalist. You're best at digging up people's pasts. This time I'm giving you an exclusive. Then I unplugged the monitor. Harper was the name I gave myself in college. Harper, representing hope and new beginnings. I lay on the floor, lifting the curtain corner with thin fingers. Sunlight streamed through the gap, warm and gentle. Just like when I lay alone in that hospital room years ago. I once thought meeting Ryan was life's compensation for my past. He was the sunshine warming my life. But now I understood, the only one who could save me was myself. 10 years ago, I saved myself. 10 years later, I could do it again. Chapter 4. The next day brought heavy rain as predicted. I sat on the rooftop edge and started a live stream. At first, only a few people watched. But soon, the viewer count broke 6 figures. Behind each number hid a venomous mouth. Jump already. Waste of resources keeping you alive. Live streaming suicide in the rain? New attention-seeking level. Ready for the show. Cops are here. Chickening out? Sirens pierced through the rain. I wiped rain from my face and looked down calmly. The street below was packed with people. One hand holding umbrellas, the other filming me with phones. Police trying to clear the crowd. All of it like an absurd stage show. And I was the protagonist pushed to the edge. I smiled sarcastically at the camera. I'm sure you all know me by now, so I won't introduce myself. Police voices came through megaphones. Please come down. We can talk about any difficulties. Think of your family and friends. Family? Friends? I let out a short laugh. Family? I haven't had family since I can remember. The screen captured my sarcasm. She laughed. She's laughing. Playing. Victim again? Ungrateful bitch, your parents searched 10 years and you won't acknowledge them. Just die. Look. Police on the fire escape. I tilted my head, catching movement at the roof entrance from the corner of my eye. Don't come closer. My voice rose sharply as I shifted further out. Gasps erupted below. The figures froze. The live stream exploded. I looked back at the camera hazily. You want to know why I won't acknowledge my parents? I'll tell you. Hot tears mixed with rain sliding down my face, but my voice grew sharp. My original name was Trash Girl. Literally. As in garbage. The comments paused. But I sat on the rooftop laughing uncontrollably. That poisonous name followed me for 16 years. I existed to serve my brother. If he cried, belt beatings. If he fell, cigarette burns. Unfortunately, I was good at school. They thought I stole their ancestral luck, blocking their son's path. So I had another reason for beatings. I endured in that house, thinking if I could just get to college, I'd run somewhere they'd never find me. But my hand touched my right leg, my voice ethereal in the rain. Have you heard the sound of an axe hitting bone? Thud. 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 Each strike splashes blood everywhere. The livestream comments froze for a long time, then shifted. Holy shit, real or fake? She means her parents chopped her leg? Making it up for sympathy? Where's the proof? Empty claims. I smiled mockingly. Proof? Where was the proof in all those articles calling me ungrateful? You believed those. Then a police officer approached with a phone. Harper. Don't do anything rash. Your boyfriend wants to talk. I froze, turning to see the active call screen. Ryan's trembling voice came through. Harper, please. Don't do this. It's my fault. All my fault. Just wait for me. I'm almost there. Hearing the constant car horns through the phone, I couldn't help but laugh. Ryan, did your protégé Jessica get promoted? No, Harper. Ryan, did the feast of my blood and tears taste good? Then an official news account's comment floated across the stream. Harper, this is Jessica. We can arrange a meeting with your parents to clear things up. I laughed. Jessica, I'll haunt you all even as a ghost. Ah. Deafening screams erupted below. The phone flew from my hand, tumbling through the air. The camera's last image was my figure disappearing over the rooftop edge. The next second, the stream was banned. Chapter 5. I landed on the inflatable cushion below. I didn't die. But jumping cost me my other good leg, broken. I felt nothing. This was within my calculations anyway. The doctor sighed repeatedly while treating my amputation. Finally, before leaving, she said, don't worry. Your parents can't enter your room. My eyes shifted woodenly from the window. After a moment, I picked up my phone. Unlike the scandal bombardment days ago, online opinion was reversing dramatically. Enterprising bloggers had even found neighbors from my old home. The neighbor slapped her thigh, denouncing the online lies. Everyone in that neighborhood knew that girl got beaten 3 times a day. Her eyes reddened at the end. Poor child was always tall. Her bastard father got drunk and listened to some fortune teller saying she was blocking his son's luck. So he took an axe to her leg in the middle of the night. Her mother signed a forgiveness letter for him. Wouldn't have gotten much jail time anyway. So the girl signed too, on condition they let her transfer her household registration away and cut all ties. The neighbor started crying as she spoke, addressing the camera. Girl, you've suffered so much these days. Why didn't you come find me? My eyes reddened too watching. This was Mrs. Sullivan. She'd lived next door for 5 years. Those 5 years were the only time I could breathe, the only time I ate properly. When I needed emergency surgery after losing too much blood, my mother refused treatment without hesitation. Mrs. Sullivan paid to save me. So when I got my registration documents, the first thing I did was change my name. I took Mrs. Sullivan's last name. Child. I instinctively looked up at the door. The person from the video was suddenly there. Tears fell instantly. Mrs. Sullivan. She wiped her tears while patting my back. How could you be so reckless, jumping off a building? If you died, those 2 monsters would be the happy ones. All these years, you sent me money but never visited. How could you be so heartless? I buried my face in her chest, too choked up to speak. Mrs. Sullivan stayed to take care of me. Until a disheveled Ryan entered my room. Mrs. Sullivan angrily pushed him out. I called out, Mrs. Sullivan. Her face was full of anger, pointing at Ryan. I know him. It's all over the internet. Your parents. He brought them, right? Then she looked at Ryan. You were Harper's boyfriend. Why did you try to kill her? Ryan's already pale face went whiter. His lips moved soundlessly, just staring at me blankly. When his gaze touched my bandaged legs, he looked away as if burned. I glanced at the bandages on his head and arms, smiling at Mrs. Sullivan. Mrs. Sullivan, it's okay. I need to talk to him. She glared at me for seconds before storming out. Ryan. I called his name calmly. Did you find my past records? He looked at me hazily, his eyes terrifyingly red. I smiled mockingly. Did you forget? I asked you to do my exclusive story. Write about everything from my past. His voice was hoarse. Harper. My mocking smile widened. I gave you the hottest story. Aren't you happy? Ryan looked ready to collapse. He slumped against the wall. Harper, don't do this to me. I was unmoved. Just report the truth. Or is going against your beloved protégé too hard? Ryan slid to the floor, eyes fixed on me. He said softly, Harper, believe it or not, there's nothing between Jessica and me. I gave a flat O. Write my story, and I'll believe you. Ryan laughed, but tears fell from his eyes. He slowly stood using the wall, head down, fine. I'll write it. Chapter 6. This drama was far from over. Soon after I left the hospital, Jessica announced on her personal account that she'd live stream with my parents to clear things up. Mrs. Sullivan cursed at her phone for half an hour straight. I calmly looked at the travel updates Ryan sent me. He'd reached my hometown, preparing to get police records from my past. His last message asked, Harper, will you forgive me? I turned off my phone. After he learned about my past, he wouldn't ask such pointless questions anymore. That evening, Jessica went live in professional attire right on schedule. Whether intentional or not, she chose a rooftop location. Her face looked much more haggard than during her interview with me. Unfortunately, before she could speak, the live stream comments filled with mockery and abuse. Jessica's face darkened instantly. She took a deep breath and turned the camera to my parents. In this time, I hadn't looked at them properly. Looking now, those fierce faces from my memory had aged like dried orange peels. They smiled tentatively at the camera. Daughter, we know we were wrong. Please forgive us. Besides, you got your revenge back then, didn't you? You forget you tried to gas us all to death. Let's call it even. Jessica nodded seriously beside them. Harper, your parents may have caused lasting harm, but they've paid the price. They gave you life. You should both compromise. Her words were cut off by an egg hitting her face. She froze in shock. Other voices appeared in the stream. Enough with the moral manipulation. Journalists like you muddy the waters online. More eggs flew at the three of them. Jessica screamed and ran. This clarification livestream became a complete joke. Days later, City Daily posted Jessica's suspension notice. Her coveted promotion vanished like smoke. I told Mrs. Sullivan that Ryan must be devastated. He was indeed devastated. So devastated he smoked outside my door all night. Muffled coughs came through the door. The next morning when I opened it, he still had a cigarette between his fingers. He kept his head down, flipping through documents repeatedly. Ash fell on the yellowed papers, brushed away by Ryan's trembling hands. He didn't look up. I didn't speak. After a long time, he looked at me, his clear voice now raspy. Harper, you never told me you suffered so much. Harper, will you never forgive me? I calmly closed the door. Never seeing each other again was our best ending. Online hot topics always came in waves. My story was quickly buried by other news. But my parents clung to me like beasts smelling blood. Since the mask was off, they went all in. They found my home, banging on the door day and night. I called the police. When police arrived, they threw tantrums on the ground. She's our daughter. She has to support us in old age. Seeing my silence, they added, fine, give us money and we'll never bother you again. I laughed, asking my first words to them, where's your precious son? Their eyes turned venomous. I laughed harder. I heard online he went to juvenile detention at 17? True or false? Chapter 7. My father jumped up, eyes bulging from their sockets. Trash girl. Getting too big for your britches? He's your brother. When he gets out, you'll help him too. His eyes filled with greed as he surveyed my apartment. This place will be your brother's wedding gift. You're missing a leg. Hard to find a man. Let your brother take care of you in old age. I looked at this man like he was garbage. My contempt triggered him. He rushed to hit me. He really was old now. The slaps that once landed like fans could be firmly blocked. I slapped him twice and kicked his stomach hard. He writhed on the ground howling. Officer, arrest her. She hit me. The police said coolly, that's self-defense. Then impatiently hauled him up. Come to the station with us. Leaving the station, they still threatened. Trash girl, you wait. This isn't over without money. Mrs. Sullivan worried about moving me overnight. But after that day, they never appeared again. My phone received a text. Don't worry. They won't appear before you again. I calmly deleted it. I told Mrs. Sullivan I wanted to move to her city. So we moved on a sunny day. Before getting in the car, I pulled out my SIM card and threw it in the dumpster. Life in the new city seemed to return to its previous calm. Though people still filmed me on the street sometimes. So when Ryan stood before me one day, I wasn't surprised. He'd lost a lot of weight. His once-fitting clothes hung loosely. He reeked of cigarettes. I covered my nose and stepped back. He awkwardly moved further away too. Sorry. I've been smoking a lot lately. I nodded non-committally. What do you want? He froze, staring at me blankly. Harper, you used to yell at me for smoking. I frowned. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. He blocked my path, pulling out documents before I could speak. I didn't take them. He smiled bitterly. This is the report you wanted. Do you still want it published? I looked down at the papers and shook my head. Up to you. It doesn't matter to me now. Ryan's hands shook violently. I walked around him. He called out behind me with a trembling voice, Harper, live your life. Well. You'll never meet trash like us again. After thinking, I turned back to ask. Did you give them money? Ryan looked dazed, lowering his red eyes in silence. I continued calmly, I only want them to suffer as much as possible. So Ryan, don't do unnecessary things. Don't make me hate you more. Ryan still chose to publish the report. The detailed descriptions and photos shocked everyone. Unlike the scandal's fanfare, this report had an odd silence. Everyone read quietly, then sent me private apologies. The world was strange like that. People just needed a target for their anger. The actual truth held no interest. I watched the endless messages and deleted the account I'd used for the suicide livestream. It remained an absurd farce to the end. Ryan wrote at the report's end. I'm sorry. As Harper's boyfriend, I gave her the deepest second wound. Her parents were executioners, and so was I. So the deceived public found their perfect punching bag. Ryan and Jessica tasted their own bitter fruit. Jessica's suspension became termination. Ryan left the career he loved most. I remembered college when Ryan carried his camera everywhere with me. He said someday he'd become the most authoritative journalist in the field. But now he'd destroyed his own journalism dream. Later, I saw Jessica once. She'd become a real estate agent. Seeing me, her face went through several colors. But finally she forced a smile and approached. Harper, looking to buy? I nodded. She eagerly poured me water. I didn't take it. She didn't mind, setting down the cup to sit across from me. I stopped her. Get someone else. Her face flushed red, looking at me, Harper, the past is past. Can't you be generous and forget? I smiled mockingly, still so good at moral manipulation. Her face went completely dark. She stood up holding her breath, heels clicking loudly. Away. I ignored her. But leaving, I saw her being scolded in the corner. Jessica. Do you even want this job? 3 months, not a single sale. 1 more month like this and you're out. Jessica stood there dejected, head hanging. I glanced at her and walked the opposite direction. My parents tried finding me online after spending their money. But this time the main force wasn't them, it was my brother. He understood the internet well. He knew even negative attention was attention. And what viewers who hated them wanted to see. So every time those two appeared on camera, they had injuries. Some people found it satisfying and sent virtual gifts. From then on, they acted like they'd cracked the algorithm. Their faces showed more injuries each time, eating increasingly bizarre things. Once I stumbled on their live stream. My father's gaunt face held a plate of something slimy. He carefully glanced behind the camera. Then, as if seeing something terrifying, frantically shoved the plate's contents in his mouth. Comments teased him like a dog. Occasionally sending small gifts. I looked at the panic and numbness on that face and reported the account with my real name. Making money off my name, even $2, disgusted me. My present and future would have nothing to do with them. The end.